The many monsters of this island fear that the windfish is about to awaken. The monster's power is real. They may conquer the island and destroy their foes. That day may come soon. Now go to the mountain tower. Fly like a bird. Hoot! Hoot! Alright, so our good friend the owl here says that our next destination is the mountain tower. And he's exactly right. That is our next destination. However, before we go there, we actually have to go make a little pit stop in May Village. This isn't exactly a side quest, it is required. And if you remember in the last chapter, we learned the Frog's Song of Soul, and now we will be putting that to use. If you haven't learned the Frog's Song of Soul, you need to get it right now, pretty much. You have to get it. And if you haven't gotten it, it's actually nearby from where we are. It's just a couple screens south from here is the maze little puzzle. And just find the signpost maze. So head on over to the center part of May Village and push the statue. And there's a hidden staircase underneath the rooster statue. It's sort of like A Link to the Past in a way. That's how we got the cuckoo. So pull out your ocarina and play the Frog's Song of Soul, and this will awaken the flying rooster. It's a cool little cinema where I guess that's its soul, and it awakens the bird. Yay! Wow, the rooster has recovered. He seems very friendly. So this rooster, unlike the rooster from A Link to the Past, this one won't let you just completely warp to another point. Instead, it just follows you around, and you can actually pick it up with your power bracelet, and this will actually allow you to float in thin air, or pretty much fly like a bird. So our next destination is in the mountain north, but before doing that, there was one spot that we could never reach right near Canelet Castle, and now that we do have the blue flying rooster, we can now reach it. So it's completely optional, and the reward is just some extra rupees. However, if you don't have the level 2 sword yet, this cave here will actually contain another secret seashell. And this technically is the 23rd secret seashell in the game. However, since it requires the flying rooster that we don't get until quite late in the game, you're better off just getting different seashells earlier in the game. Even if you miss the 2 that are required, that you have a certain number of seashells, there are still 20 of them that you could have gotten before this one. So I guess the only point in getting it is if you're trying to 100% the game and get every single seashell. Nevertheless, now that we have the flying rooster and that extra seashell, we can make our way to our next main quest destination, and that is Mount Tamaranch at the Tall Heights. So we actually went through this exact pattern earlier when we were heading on over to Angler's Tunnel, so it should be familiar territory. You can head north here and you'll see the windfish, the actual egg, but you still can't do much. Instead, we want to head up these steps. Hoot, hoot! Your path is not easy, but you are almost there. Go east. The windfish is getting restless. Alright, we gotta go east. Well, we actually have to go into this cave here. We've actually been through this cave as well before on our way to Angler's Tunnel, so it should be familiar. There isn't anything too difficult. It's just a bunch of keys, some hardhead beetles, some green zol. Nothing that should really bother you much. You'll notice there is that piece of heart still over there, and we are now actually able to get it, and we actually have to go to a different part of the mountain to reach that, and we will be doing that in just a second. You can either use your hook shot to get over to the treasure chest here, and it contains 50 rupees, or you can pick up the flying rooster and fly on over. Either way does the trick. It's kind of a useless treasure chest because it's so late in the game where rupees are not very important anymore, yet it's still offering you opportunities to get extra rupees, especially now. Like anything after you learn the Frog Song of Soul is kind of useless in terms of rupees. We want to head up the long set of steps here and head left a couple screens. You want to defeat the red Tektite, or there's only one type of Tektite in this game, but defeat it and then enter this cave here. We could have entered this cave earlier, but it would have just led to a dead end. If you go to the left here, you'll make your way over to a screen that has a treasure chest that you can't actually reach. However, because we have the Flying Rooster, we can make our way over here, and if you head up a screen, you can use the Flying Rooster to float on over the abyss here. And then, hey, look, there's a key. Walk on over, pick it up, and we got the bird key. The bird key will allow us, just like the previous keys that we got in the overworld, it will allow us to gain entrance to the next dungeon, Eagle's Tower. So now that we have the key, we could actually make our way over to Eagle's Tower. You can just push the block so you don't need to actually fly around with the Flying Rooster again. However, before going to Eagle's Tower, there's still a couple things we can do in the overworld in terms of side quests. There's another secret seashell here, so I'm gonna flash the video to another video where I never got the level 2 sword, otherwise the seashell wouldn't even be here. And it's just right underneath the rock at the top right corner here. This is the 24th secret seashell, and technically we could have actually gotten this earlier. All it really requires is the power bracelet, the Rock's Feather, and the flippers in order to reach this area. But it's sort of out of the way, so I didn't bother getting it until now. We want to head to the left a couple screens. This is actually completely optional right now. We're going to be coming this way anyway when we are on our way to the 8th dungeon, but we can actually finally get that very annoying heart piece that we saw oh so much earlier in the game. Just place a bomb against the wall at the bottom here, and then if you just head one screen to the right, you will find the piece of heart. It's really not worth even bothering to get this one at this point, because this is only our 11th piece of heart, and we won't get the 12th piece of heart until we reach the 8th dungeon. So it really doesn't do much. It's just you could get it now. So I'll probably mention it a second time when we're coming through this cave later on. You can actually head to the left, but you're going to lead. It's going to reach a dead end because we don't have the dungeon item, which we will be getting in Eagle's Tower, that will allow us to pass. Anyway, we now can finally make our way over to Eagle's Tower. There's nothing left to do in the overworld, so we want to backtrack a couple screens to get across the mountain a little bit, and we want to head down the long steps on this screen to get back to the little waterfall area. We want to swim across using the flippers and enter the cave here. There's a couple of caves consecutively that look kind of similar here. You'll notice there is one little patch against the north wall that actually has a bit of land, and you can actually place a bomb. It's sort of like a hint, that little patch of land. And there's a couple fish enemies here jumping around. You can kill them if you'd like, but then just head up the stairs and then head down a screen. There are 4 treasure chests here. Notice the order I'm pushing the blocks in. I didn't even get any of the treasure chests, and I'll explain in just a second. There is another treasure chest here, and it contains 20 rupees. However, this is another one of those treasure chests that it actually contains the 25th secret seashell. If you haven't gotten the level 2 sword, you can get this seashell here. And just like I've said from the last few, there's really no reason to ever get the 25th secret seashell, since you should have 20 by now. Okay, now when I re-enter the cave from the bottom, I can actually push the blocks in a particular order so that I can open all 4 of them, or all 5 of them. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't actually be able to get all 5 of them, since the one at the far left, you'd end up pushing a block and it would block the treasure chest in order to reach the door at the bottom. Nevertheless, they all contain rupees, all of which are completely useless at this point in the game, so don't really understand why they're even here. So just make your way through the cave, and we're coming to the end of this video here, so join me next time and we will take on the Eagle's Tower. Or as the owl statue says, you are near the Eagle's Tower. Beware of the bird.